rod tip stops. Nice and early, not high. Everybody says, boy, your rod tip stops so high. If you think of that, that might want to impale. High lift here, we don't want to do that. We basically want to pull down and stop the rod tip early. That transfer of energy by me pulling down bends this spring, and that's why you don't see me having to push forward. My focus is getting the anchor point, getting the D-loop loaded behind me, and letting the spring transfer that energy, and my job, form the tightest loop possible so it goes where it needs to go. We take this cast. This says simple switch cast. And I shouldn't say that's so simple. Make it look easy out here. It takes a lot of practice. Okay? Once we get this down, my objective is to cast to that bank. There is a bunch of casts. I'm going to throw a snap T at you. Everybody here snap T, right? I'm not talking too much foreign language. I'm on the same page. But at the same time, I don't want to stand up here and preach to the choir. So if you guys are talking snap T's, hey Jeff, show me something different. So how many of us fish snap T's from river left? Raise your hands, please. Thank you. Perfect. So this is a great cast. Great for floating lines, great for sink tips. All I'm going to do is set it up and then do a switch cast. The setup, refer to as a snap. Here's what the snap looks like in the snap T. There it is right there. Now I brought the fly line up to a position where I can point over here. Over on my right-hand side, switch cast. There's my direction change, there's my snap T. I really took my time and broke that down, but when I do it, it's one smooth, even motion. I don't want to lose any energy or the load of the rod. So let's go through that one more time. When you do a snap or the setup, very important. Watch where the fly lands. Right there. Right there. I can almost touch it with the rod tip. Okay, if the fly goes upriver more than 45 degrees, if 90's out here, 45 right up there, it's actually more than 45. If it goes further than a rod length away, here's what's going to happen to your anchor point. And by the way, you saw when the switch cast, when I come forward, my anchor point is facing exactly in the direction of my cast. It's straight. It's not piled up on itself. It's not facing upriver. Okay? Watch what happens when that fly goes up too far. There it is, way too far. I'm going to point over that bank. Here comes my back cast, and when I stop right here, Simon Gosworth, there's his bloody L. There it is. Pointing upstream, I'm going to make the forward cast, and the line says, no, that ain't going to work. I need to be facing your target. So when we are changing direction, a little bit of advice for you, start your direction changes at less angles. Maybe 40 degrees, 45, 60, work up to 70 or 80. If you want to cast to 90, work up to that. But it's harder the more direction changes you add. Back to 45. Here's a setup, a good setup. Check out the rod tip, the path that I'm tracing. There's a wall perpendicular to the rod tip. Stay on the wall. Fly line lands right off to my side, but here's what I'm looking for is this belly of fly line below the rod tip, which is about 3 to 5 feet. As soon as and you can call it, oh, it looks like you're tracing a letter D. That could be one way to say it. Or how about an angle at a 45 up and right back down, which does that. Same thing, there's that belly I'm looking for right there. That puts the fly in a position so that when I point to my target and I make my back cast or switch cast, so now 90 degrees is back here, rod tip found its height, keep it at that height, come back, curve up, aha, there we go, anchor point, facing the target, forward stroke comes off the water. Okay. Let's go through that one more time. Here's my snap, by the way. Notice the hands. That's it. Okay. Or you could do this. Right? A lot more work. Right? A lot more work. So we want to get used to this bottom hand. Snap in place, point to the target. There's my height. Sweep around, and I use that term sweep because it's so ingrained in spey casters' heads. What is a sweep? What am I doing after the setup from right here? Number one, look where the rod is. The rod is right where it started the snap. So when I start tracing the letter D or come up in an angle, I'm starting here and I'm going to finish right here. There. Here's what we don't want to do on the snap. Finish the rod out here, which most of the time we're thinking I'm going to cast to that bank. So how about that right there? Guess what happened? come back, anchor's not facing the right direction, forward stroke just dies. So it is important with my peripheral vision to keep an eye on that anchor point, because if it's not facing the right direction, I'm going to reset it up, do another cast. Snap T, there's a snap. By the way, that belly down there is the load from right here. From there to there and forward. So as soon as my rod points to my target, the load begins. The spring is bent. As I come back, the spring releases that energy and all of it's transferred right into the D-loop. I have to make sure when I transfer that energy that I don't take the rod and sweep a curve around my body, because when I do so, the anchor point wants to land upstream too far. And if you've had this happen, very, very common, notice where my anchor point is, and I've set in a switch cast, which is a perfect example. It should be about a rod length away just in front of 90 degrees. Watch this next one. This is a sweep around my body. Oh, that's gone. That's not going to load. The anchor's too far upstream. The D-loop's on its side. It's wide open because I don't have a loading ability right now. Bring the anchor point in closer. How about we take out this movement? Very subtle, but it makes all the difference in the world. There's the setup. Straight line to my target with the top hand. There. Next cast, the back cast, which is switch cast. Pull straight back from the target. Ah, look at this land right close to me here. Okay, closer it is, the more load I have. The current, sweeping it downstream, if you wait too long, it's going to go down below you. We don't want to wait too long in this position, because when I make my cast, I'm breaking that rule of that roll cast. The line's pointing that way, and I'm going to try to cast across it. Now, I'm going to save myself and all you guys the trouble of me having to undo the knot on that one. So
5 minutes, Jeff.
Thank you. Point, 90 degrees right here. Coming back flat, curve up, forward stroke. When do I make my forward stroke? Keep your eye on the anchor point, watch it turn around, and drop on the water. Here it is, facing upriver, comes back, faces downriver, forward stroke. Notice the sound. There is no sound except the rod tip moving through the air. You should not hear this sound. Pop, right? First broke a fly off. Or, oof, nails on a chalkboard, spray of water, okay? So people say, oh, it's too much anchor point right there. You waited too long. Not necessarily. Watch what I did to my bottom hand. Let's go back to the switch cast for a second. This is where the bottom hand gets in the way. This becomes my enemy right now. Back. Bottom hand. Here's a better bottom hand movement. It follows the top hand back. Stays low, forward stroke. Spey casting is so easy, in fact, that if you just get some fly line out, have a little bit of a belly, lift the rod up, follow that rule of that switch cast. Come back flat, 90 degrees, there's your cast every single time. So it doesn't matter where it lands. Just get it in position, point to your target, flat back, forward stroke, anchors on the water, there's the cast delivered, okay? So the sweep, real quick, we're gonna end it on this note. When I bring the rod around my body, I'm tracing a straight line to the target and a straight line away, not a curve around my body. So here's 2 rod paths, 1 to the target, 2 pulling away from the target, and there's the result, my anchor point very close to my body. The tendency, most spey casters, when doing the snap T, it's one motion, and the rod elevates up in the air. Bad anchor point, right over here behind me. Okay, so when I finish my back cast, we'll end on this note real quick here. When I finish my back cast, it's important that you guys see the angle that I'm in. There's my angle right here. I hear a lot of people say, well, I've been taught, Jeff, take this up, bring it right beside my head. Not at all. Keep your elbows down low, keep it off to the side. And the idea of this is simply said, if you bring that top hand up to your ear, watch the rod tip around the back of my head. I want to stop right there because that's 180 degrees. This right here starts the curve of the D-loop around the back of my head. So if I'm casting in that direction, the D-loop says, wait a minute, I'm starting to curve and you're going to want me to change directions and go back straight. You're going to lose energy transfer. Okay? Straight lines, flat lines transfer more energy. So we want to get away from the idea of this sweep, and we want to trace straight lines, and they can be done in one smooth motion. Finish up with this one last switch or snap P. By the way, if you're using a floating fly line, make sure your leader is as long as the rod is. That'll help your anchor point. If your leader's too short, not enough anchor point, you'll hear popping, cracking sound. Okay? Here we go. There it is. Pull back, forward stroke. It looks like a sweep, but it's not. It's a straight line to and from. If I'm standing on the other side of the river doing a double spey, there's a good view for you guys. The setup, okay? Point to my target. 90 degrees is now back here. Switch cast. Rod would come back, curve up. There's my anchor point facing that direction. Promise I won't hit you. And I'd make my forward cast. One more time. Here's the rod tip. Very important. This is two movements. This is not one movement. From there to there. Or instead, watch my anchor point if I sweep. And I see guys do this all the time. Gone. Lost it. Yes. Okay, great. So how is a switch cast different than a spey cast? That's all it is. It is a spey cast that does not switch directions. That's all it is. Some people say, you know what it is? It's really a fast roll cast. Okay, but when you do a fast roll cast, what's the tendency? The tendency is to take the rod sometimes and elevate it on the back roll cast. Watch what happens when I do that. Watch the rod tip. No anchor point. Didn't fall. Went way too far up. How about if I can do that same thing and watch the rod tip come back flat, speed it up, elbow right here. There. There's your switch cast. Does that make sense to you? Is that makes sense? Okay. So all the casts we put together, whatever you want to do, they're all because of that motion of coming back, pointing to your target, coming back flat, forward stroke. Same right there. Same thing just happened. All I did was aerialize the fly line. Okay, so spey casting is the ability to drop your anchor on the water. Please remember on your back cast, when you get to 90 degrees from your target, that's where your elevation starts. Bottom hand, keep it low. If you are pushing out, and this happens when you hear that spray all the time, take your arm, forearm, pin it to your side. This is how easy it is to spey cast when the rod tip traces the right path.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much.